Well, we are in an economy that is tough. We're in an economy and a society where things are expensive, and there are economic hardships. What we want to do is not blame our spouse for the situation. We need to accept some things, as in fate, just happen.
Well, if you had just been a little more prompt on your job,
but if you hadn't been nagging me and we hadn't been, already in financial trouble, it wouldn't have been.
But if you'd been given more attention to your job, maybe you wouldn't have been the one that got laid off, that got fired.
I don't want to hear about it anymore, and you shut down.
He would have had to feel awful and been blaming himself already and wondering what he could have done. So hearing it from me would not be a good thing.
So listen to the symphony of emotions going on here, and what's happening is attachments are getting broken. Don't focus on the money issue, as it's your spouse's problem. Be a team together and make that problem the problem. Make your spouse your teammate in tackling that problem.
If you need support from a marriage counselor or an accountant, some other professional who can say, here's what you can do to help, that's a good thing. Seek out the help. Make a plan, if that's a budget, or figuring out how are we going to cope with this crisis. What are we going to do so that things will work out? And then agree to stick with the plan.
Treat each other with kindness and understanding during this time and support one another. Rhonda listens to radio, and she heard a guy one time telling a story.
There's a guy in the U.S. who does a radio show and so talks about financial issues. And early in their marriage, they had a point where they had suffered some severe financial losses with some investment properties that he owned. And so they got behind on their bills. And he talked about one particular credit card company that would call his house when he was at work, call his house and talk to his wife and say, well, we just don't understand how you could even stay married to a man who doesn't pay his bills.
And can you imagine?
He said, I'll never have a credit card with that company again. But someone trying to drive a wedge between a husband and wife. Sometimes too, between the husband and wife, you've made this plan. We had a point where Ed had been employed by someone else, and we had talked about it. It was time for him to go out on his own in private practice. This is when we were in California. We were a little nervous about how the money was going to work out. Will he be able to generate enough income to meet our expenses? So we'd made a decision to cut back and kind of analyzed what we could cut out. And obviously one of the things that cuts out easily is going out, movies, dinner with friends. And I remember one particular time when friends wanted us to go out to dinner, and it wasn't in our budget. We had decided that we weren't going to spend money on that.
So Ed was a stupid young husband back then. And
instead
of going, oh, I'm so sorry, and just, kind of sympathizing, empathizing with her, no, Ed, got to tell her again why. I went into the reasons, we can't do this because of this, and this. Do you think she felt securely attached to my heart with her heart?
No, what I really needed him to do is just put his arm around me and say, I'm so sorry that that's the decision that we've made right now and that we aren't able to do that. Just to hear that sympathy, that caring, instead of kind of a blaming. We can't do that. That's not in the budget.
She didn't need logic. And she's a competent woman. She heard it the first time we discussed it. She didn't need me to repeat it. So guys, save your words for something really fun and important and just go, yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Now I only said one word. I said, yeah. And the rest were, And we guys are good at those nonverbal kinds of things. So remember that. If you take one thing away from here today, you will be much more lovingly attached to your wife if you just go, All right.
When you find yourself in a situation like this, though, as we've said, don't place blame on your spouse. Look at it as a team and say, okay, we're in this together and we're going to lean on each other and we will survive, whether it's financial or any other kind of hardship.
And when the hardship has passed, guess what? Celebrate, because you two together conquered this deal. You overcame whatever obstacle it is. And when we overcome together, the bonds of our heart, the rope of it's entwined in our love becomes so much stronger as we've grown closer through whatever this situation may be.